Chosen one, listen closely. This is not a coincidence. You didn't stumble upon this word by chance. Heaven has been watching your patience, your silence, your restraint. And now, in this very hour, the Spirit of God says, the waiting built your power. And now, I am releasing it. You've been in a season where time felt like it stopped. Opportunities passed you by, doors stayed locked, people moved on without you. You wondered, did I miss it? But what you didn't know was that while you waited, something sacred was being built inside of you. Every delay became divine construction. Every silence became a secret strengthening. Every prayer that felt unanswered was actually fertilizing your roots for the weight of the promise that's now about to unfold. God is saying, you were never being punished. You were being prepared. The stillness wasn't stagnation, it was sanctification. The pause wasn't rejection, it was precision. You were hidden because you were being refined, and what heaven hides, heaven intends to reveal in glory. This is the moment where everything you've carried in faith is about to meet divine release. The very power you cultivated in the shadows is now breaking through into the light. You won't need to chase what's yours, it will recognize you. Because waiting wasn't wasted time, it was power being stored. So, if you've been feeling that trembling inside your spirit, that strange anticipation, that divine unrest, know this, the release has already begun. God is about to accelerate everything that once felt delayed. Your name is being mentioned in rooms you've never entered. Your light is about to pierce the very darkness that once intimidated you. This is your activation moment. Heaven has seen your endurance, and now heaven rewards it. What was sealed is opening. What was held back is being released. And what you thought you lost in waiting, you're about to gain in double measure. So stay with me until the end of this message, because by the time you finish hearing these words, you'll understand why you had to wait and why God chose this exact moment to release what's been waiting for you. You see, the waiting wasn't an accident. It was a divine appointment dressed in disguise. Heaven has a way of stretching time not to torment, but to transform. Every unanswered prayer, every quiet night when you looked up and asked, when, Lord, those weren't ignored moments, they were measured ones. God was not silent because he forgot you. He was silent because he was finishing something in you. He was shaping your spirit for what your destiny required. Because power without process destroys, but power that's built through patience, that kind of power endures. Heaven says, I could have released it earlier. I could have opened the door the first time you knocked, but I wanted the foundation of your faith to be deep enough to carry the weight of my promise. And that's why the delay hurts so deeply, because it wasn't meant to break you. It was meant to birth you. In this stillness, God was doing what the world could not see. He was realigning people, shifting timelines, orchestrating events in perfect precision. While you thought nothing was moving, everything in the unseen realm was rearranging itself for your arrival. Heaven has been working in the background, setting the stage, ensuring that when you step forward, nothing will fall apart again. And now, that quiet season you survived has become your credential. You didn't just wait, you endured. You didn't just pause, you grew roots. You didn't just survive, you transformed. Heaven calls that endurance authority, because when God finally releases what he's been preparing, it won't come as a small blessing or a random breakthrough. It will come as a shift that validates every tear you cried. The same doors that stayed closed will swing open by divine command. The same people who dismissed you will watch God's favor exalt you in plain sight. And when they ask how it happened, you'll simply say, the waiting built my power. This is the mystery of divine timing. God waits until the weight of your calling matches the strength of your character. Only then does he say now. And that now is not gradual, it's immediate. It's acceleration after stagnation, light after silence, overflow after emptiness. So, if your spirit feels heavy but hopeful right now, it's because heaven is pressing release. The pressure you feel isn't delay anymore, it's delivery. The season that once felt endless is concluding under divine decree. Heaven has witnessed your surrender, your prayers, your quiet obedience. And now the voice of God declares, what was forming in secret will now be revealed in strength. The power you built in waiting is ready to be released. There comes a moment when the heavens shift, a holy turning point, where what was concealed in the shadows begins to move toward the light. That moment is now. For months, even years, the weight of waiting has pressed against your chest. You've been faithful in obscurity, consistent without applause, obedient without evidence. And though it felt like nothing was changing, every unseen moment was collecting power. The silence wasn't empty, it was charged. Heaven has been storing your obedience like oil in a vessel. And now the Lord says, it's full. The vessel has reached overflow. The power that was once restrained is now being poured out. What's coming next is not a trickle, it's a release. Not a whisper, but a roar. Not a hint of promise, but a manifestation of what was written over your life before time began. This is the hour of release and recognition. For so long you've been hidden, not because you were unworthy, but because you were sacred. You were being refined away from noise, pride, and distraction. Heaven hid you the way a king hides his most precious weapon, not to withhold it, but to unveil it at the appointed time. Now that time has come. The Spirit of God is releasing acceleration into your destiny. What once took years will now happen in moments. Conversations, connections, opportunities, all will begin aligning like stars that were waiting for a single command, now. You'll begin to feel the shift not just around you, but within you. Where there was fatigue, strength will surge. Where there was confusion, clarity will descend like morning light. Where there was doubt, faith will ignite and refuse to be silenced. Heaven's wind is moving. The same wind that parted seas and lifted prophets is breathing upon your life. The doors that wouldn't move will tremble and swing open. The people who overlooked you will be compelled to remember your name. The atmosphere around you will testify that something has changed. Because this isn't just a season of reward, it's a divine release of power. Power to speak and see it come to pass. Power to stand where others fell. Power to create what never existed before. God says, I am releasing what I built inside you, in silence. You thought you were waiting on me, but I was waiting on you. Waiting for your faith to mature enough to hold fire without burning out. Waiting for your spirit to trust me, even when you couldn't trace me. Waiting for your heart to beat in rhythm with my will. So when I release you, you move with heaven, not against it. And now the synchronization is complete. The divine clock has struck alignment. The very power you once prayed for in desperation is now pulsing through your destiny in precision. You will notice it subtle at first, then undeniable. People will say, something's different about you. Doors that stayed shut will open with ease. Delays will dissolve. Favor will flow without striving. Your name will find its way into divine conversations. This release isn't random, it's recompense. Heaven is repaying the years of endurance, the months of tears, the seasons of silence. Where you were diminished, you'll be amplified. Where you were overlooked, you'll be exalted. Where you lost time, you'll recover acceleration. This is not the end of waiting. It's the purpose of waiting revealed. The time you thought you lost was actually time heaven invested. And now that investment is returning with interest. You will see it. You will feel it. You will walk in it. Because the waiting built your power, and now heaven releases it without restraint. When heaven chooses to build a person, it often does so through delay. Not delay as punishment, but delay as purification. Waiting is not wasted time, it is the workshop of divine transformation. It is where power is tempered by humility, where faith matures from words into weight. There is a mystery written into the language of heaven. God hides his greatest warriors in the longest winters. He plants them deep beneath the surface where no eye can see, and the soil feels heavy. But underneath that hidden darkness, roots are forming roots strong enough to carry destiny. The longer the waiting, the deeper the rooting. That is why you could not move faster, even when you tried. Every time you thought you were ready, heaven whispered, "Not yet." And it wasn't rejection, it was reinforcement. He was building the interior world that your exterior calling would soon require. See, there's a difference between talent and anointing. Talent can be developed in visibility, but anointing is forged in silence. And it's that silence, that crushing stillness, that separated you from the ordinary. The world may call it stagnation, but heaven calls it sanctification. The delay stripped you of dependence on validation. It taught you how to stand when no one was clapping, how to believe when nothing moved, how to worship when heaven seemed mute. And that posture that surrendered stillness became the breeding ground for supernatural strength. You were never meant to come out of the waiting as the same person who entered it. The version of you that started the journey couldn't carry the power you have now. Waiting burned away pride, fear, and the need for control. It replaced them with trust, wisdom, and discernment. You didn't just survive delay, you became delay's definition of divine endurance. Every prophetic promise carries weight, and heaven refuses to place that weight on an unprepared heart. So God didn't deny you the blessing. He was ensuring it wouldn't destroy you. You were not waiting on breakthrough. Breakthrough was waiting for maturity. And when maturity met alignment, the season shifted. That's why the atmosphere feels different lately. The silence isn't heavy anymore. It's alive. It hums with anticipation. Because the power once buried in you is beginning to stir. Let's go deeper. In the unseen world, waiting generates pressure. Pressure builds energy. Energy builds transformation, and transformation becomes authority. This is the equation of heaven. Power is not given to the impatient. It is entrusted to those who endure without explanation. Even the greatest figures in divine history endured long waits. Joseph waited in a prison before he wore a crown. David hid in caves before he sat on the throne. Moses wandered deserts before he touched destiny. Jesus waited 30 years in obscurity before stepping into 3 years of public power. Why? Because waiting builds weight, and without weight, power cannot be carried safely. That is why your waiting was long, because your calling is heavy. What God placed on your life requires spiritual muscle that only delay can develop. The stillness taught you to discern voices, to detect deception, to anchor your peace in God's timing rather than man's pace. It taught you to stop chasing and start becoming. And that's the paradox. The more you surrendered, the stronger you became. The more you released control, the more heaven trusted you with control. The longer you stayed faithful in the shadows, the brighter your light became for the stage ahead. So now when the release comes, and it is coming, it won't just be a blessing. It will be a reflection of everything you've become through the waiting. You'll walk with quiet power, unshaken by praise, unfazed by pressure. Because power born in waiting does not crumble under exposure, it shines. This is what the Spirit of God is saying. You thought you were losing time, but I was teaching you timelessness. You thought I was withholding, but I was deepening. You thought I was absent, but I was expanding your capacity for glory. You are not stepping out of waiting empty-handed. You are stepping out armed. Armed with authority, wisdom, humility, and discernment. And those who come out of divine waiting, carrying power, they do not just change their lives. They shift generations. Because the waiting built your power. And heaven only releases what has been proven true. When divine release begins, it rarely announces itself with noise. It starts quietly like a subtle tremor before the earthquake, a faint wind before the storm of glory. If you listen closely, you'll sense the signs. The first sign is the shift in atmosphere. You'll wake up one morning and the air will feel different, lighter, alive. Not because your circumstances have changed yet, but because you have. The same battles that used to drain you will suddenly lose their grip. What once triggered fear now provokes peace. Your spirit will sense movement like heaven's current finally flowing in your direction. The second sign is divine restlessness. It will feel like an inner stirring, not anxiety, but anticipation. You won't be able to explain it to others, but deep down, you'll know something's coming. You'll feel called to prepare, to reorganize, to release what no longer fits the next season. It's as though your spirit is packing its bags before your body even moves. That's because the place you've been is about to become too small for who you've become. The third sign is unusual favor. People will begin to appear out of nowhere, offering help, partnership, opportunity. Emails, messages, phone calls, moments of divine alignment. It will seem effortless, but it's not coincidence, it's orchestration. Heaven is aligning connections that were delayed until you were ready. You won't need to force it. It will flow. The fourth sign is spiritual clarity. For months you've walked by faith in fog, praying for direction. But suddenly you'll begin to see. The confusion will lift. Ideas will come with precision. Your mind will feel clear, your steps ordered. What was once a blur will now unfold in perfect sequence, doors opening in rhythm with your obedience. The fifth sign is reversal. Areas of your life that looked lifeless will begin to breathe again. Closed paths will reopen. People who once dismissed you will seek your wisdom. What the enemy meant for delay, God is turning into demonstration. Even the mistakes you thought disqualified you will become proof of divine mercy. And the final sign is the stirring of gratitude before manifestation. Long before the promise appears, your heart will overflow with peace and thankfulness. You'll find yourself smiling for no reason, thanking God without visible evidence. That's not emotion, that's your spirit recognizing arrival. Heaven always lets your heart feel it before your hands hold it. So if you've been sensing any of these, the shift, the stirring, the favor, the clarity, the reversal, the peace, then hear this clearly. You're not imagining it. You're standing in the first waves of release. The waiting built the power. Now the signs are showing, and heaven is confirming that what was once pending has now been approved. Before every release, there comes resistance. Not because God changed his mind, but because the enemy senses movement. Darkness can smell the dawn before you see the light. And just as birth pains intensify before delivery, the pressure around you may rise before breakthrough unfolds. Don't be alarmed by it. These are not punishments. They are confirmations that something powerful is being born. The hidden challenges that surface now are heaven's way of training you to hold what's coming without fear. The first challenge is spiritual fatigue. You'll feel waves of exhaustion hit out of nowhere, not because you're lazy or weak, but because your spirit has been carrying weight in the unseen realm. The moment release begins, warfare intensifies not to break you, but to test your readiness. In those moments, don't push harder. Be still. Rest becomes warfare when heaven fights for you. The second challenge is emotional turbulence. People may misunderstand you, question your silence, or grow distant without reason. This is divine separation disguised as tension. God is filtering your atmosphere, removing noise so His instructions come through clearly. Do not chase what falls away. The pruning you feel is proof of proximity to purpose. The third challenge is sudden doubt. You might feel flashes of uncertainty right after moments of strong faith. This is not backsliding, it's spiritual recalibration. Your mind is adjusting to the frequency of what your spirit already knows. In those moments, don't analyze the feeling, anchor the truth. Repeat what God promised He will perform. The fourth challenge is unseen opposition. Doors may stall for a moment. Plans may face interruption. This doesn't mean you've missed your timing, it means you've entered contested territory. The enemy never fights what isn't a threat. When opposition rises, smile. It's a sign you're stepping into dominion. Keep moving with quiet authority. Heaven backs every step. And finally, the fifth challenge is the temptation to settle. After a long wait, the first sign of movement can tempt you to grab what's comfortable instead of what's called. But don't confuse relief for release. God didn't bring you this far to fill your hands with almost. He wants your overflow, not your leftovers. So if things suddenly feel intense, unpredictable, or emotionally heavy, know this, you're nearing the threshold. Every challenge right now is an echo of transition. The shaking is not destruction, it's construction. God is aligning your environment to match your elevation. Endure these last contractions of the waiting season, for they are proof that heaven is crowning something within you. The same power that built in silence is now pressing through resistance. And once the push completes, nothing will be able to contain what's about to emerge. Stay anchored. Stay expectant. The challenges are not ending you, they're announcing you. Now that the release has begun, heaven issues an instruction. Move, but move with wisdom. The waiting built your strength, but wisdom will sustain your season. Acceleration is here, yet acceleration without alignment becomes chaos. So before you step, listen carefully. These are the divine blueprints for this new hour. Instruction 1. Protect your atmosphere. Your environment must match your elevation. The wrong voices can distort divine vision. In this season, not everyone can go where you're going, and that's not cruelty, it's clarity. Heaven says, do not drag the noise of the old season into the silence of the new one. Guard your peace like a treasure. It's the indicator of my presence. If peace leaves a place, so should you. Instruction 2. Speak less, pray more. The power you carry now doesn't need announcement, it reveals itself through outcome. Let your silence speak until God confirms you publicly. There is holy strength in restraint. Do not explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. The ones meant to discern your anointing will recognize it without words. Instruction 3. Move when prompted, not when pressured. Opportunities will flood in, some divine, some distracting. The enemy loves to send counterfeit doors right before real ones open. How will you know the difference? The right door requires faith, not fear. If you have to compromise peace to enter it, it's not from God. Wait for the one that swings open effortlessly under heaven's wind. Instruction 4. Return to intimacy. Before you go public, go private with God again. The waiting taught you dependence. Don't lose that now that things are moving. Success without intimacy leads to burnout. Favor without fellowship leads to pride. You were refined by quiet mornings, late-night tears, whispered prayers. Keep that rhythm. The secret place is your strength source. Never trade it for applause. Instruction 5. Steward what you've been given. Every gift, every opportunity, every divine connection, treat it like holy ground. Heaven doesn't bless carelessness. Write the vision. Organize what God is placing in your hands. Create systems that honor the promise. You prayed for it now. Prove you're ready to manage it. Instruction 6. Bless even those who doubted you. The temptation after vindication is vengeance. But heaven says, don't respond with pride. Respond with purity. The ones who mocked your waiting will need your wisdom later. Your kindness will be their conviction. Your grace will preach louder than any words. Instruction 7. Walk with bold humility. You are not stepping into this release timidly, but neither arrogantly. Move with quiet confidence that comes from knowing who sent you. You are not self-made. You are heaven-raised. And where heaven sends you provision and protection, travel ahead. This season will move quickly. Divine timing is compressing years into moments. But don't rush to prove what God is already confirming. Your assignment is not to perform. It's to remain aligned. Heaven whispers, do not fear the weight of what I'm releasing. You were built for it. The waiting strengthened your spine. The pain sharpened your discernment, and the stillness anchored your faith. Now move. But move as one who knows the wind is behind them. Every step you take under obedience becomes acceleration. Every act of surrender becomes strategy. Every moment of stillness becomes strength. Follow these instructions, and the release will not just visit you, it will rest on you. Because the ones who move with heaven's rhythm never miss their divine moment. As you step into this new season, heaven surrounds you. You may not see it, but you are walking beneath a covering. Every chosen one carries a seal, an invisible mark that says, "This one belongs to God." That seal is your shield. It's what kept you alive when everything around you tried to break you. And now, as power is released, that shield becomes stronger. The same God who trained you in silence will guard you in exposure. The same hand that held you in hiddenness will hold you in elevation. Do not fear being seen. You are not stepping out alone. There are angels assigned to your movement, intercepting attacks before they reach you, clearing paths before you take your next step. When the release comes, not everyone will celebrate it. Some will misunderstand it, others may envy it. But heaven says, do not fear their gaze. I have placed a hedge around your heart. No curse, no gossip, no scheme will prosper against one who carries divine approval. You are protected not just by angels, but by alignment. Every step taken in obedience creates an invisible barrier of favor. You don't have to defend yourself when heaven fights for you. Your silence will speak louder than any accusation. Your peace will confuse your enemies. Your joy will be the proof that God is still with you. And when storms rise, and they will remember this, you were built for wind. You were trained in turbulence. The same storms that once shook you will now push you forward. Because what used to scare you can no longer touch you. You've outgrown that level of fear. The covering over your life isn't fragile. It's forged. Forged in fire. Forged through tears. Forged through nights of surrender and mornings of trust. That's why no weapon formed against you can prosper. The weapon may form, but you've already been fortified. And even when you feel alone, you're not. Heaven walks beside you. The Holy Spirit whispers guidance in your spirit before danger ever approaches. You are divinely surveilled by grace. Every trap the enemy sets will collapse under the weight of your obedience. So rest. You don't have to strive anymore to prove you're protected. You don't need to defend your destiny. You simply need to stay in peace, for peace is proof of divine presence. God says, I did not bring you this far to let harm find you now. The same hand that hid you in waiting will now cover you in release. Go forward and know that every step you take is surrounded by the fire of my promise. The release will not break you. The exposure will not corrupt you. The blessing will not overwhelm you. because you are covered, and heaven keeps what heaven calls. Something begins to shift when the waiting ends. It's not loud at first, it's holy. You notice it in how peace settles differently on your heart, how joy no longer feels forced, how your soul exhales for the first time in what feels like years. This is the moment you've been waiting for, the moment when everything that was building in silence begins to bloom in the open. Transformation doesn't arrive as a flash of lightning, it unfolds like dawn. You start to see color returning to places that once felt gray. The same hands that trembled in weariness now rise in gratitude. The same tears that once watered the ground of sorrow now sparkle as testimony. You've crossed over. What once felt like endless delay has become evidence of divine precision. God was never late, He was exact. Every detour, every disappointment, every denied door was working together to align this unveiling moment. And now you stand different. You don't crave validation the way you once did. You don't fear the unknown anymore. You've learned how to recognize God even in silence, how to worship without proof, how to wait without worry. That is transformation. It's not just change, it's rebirth. Your faith has been refined to gold, your vision sharpened by darkness, your purpose clarified by pain. And fulfillment. It's here not because everything looks perfect, but because you finally understand that what's within you is greater than what's around you. Heaven's release is not merely external blessings, it's internal authority. It's the ability to speak peace into storms, to discern deception before it reaches you, to walk through doors that once intimidated you without hesitation. People will look at you and say, "You're glowing, you're different," and they'll be right. The glow isn't from success, it's from surrender. It's what happens when someone has touched divine fire and survived. This is the fulfillment of every quiet night you thought God forgot you. This is the manifestation of every prayer you whispered when you had no strength left to shout. This is the evidence that the waiting did not waste you, it weaponized you. You'll notice how things fall into place almost effortlessly now. The job, the call, the platform, the provision all appear as if summoned by peace itself. That's because you're no longer chasing, you're attracting through alignment. The current of heaven now flows through you unhindered. And in that flow, there's ease. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you finally understand how to rest in divine motion. What once drained you now energizes you. What once broke you now builds you. You have become the living proof that waiting is not weakness, it's weaponry. The prophecy has fulfilled itself in you. You have transformed from the one who waited to the one heaven now sends. Your words carry weight, your presence shifts rooms, your silence speaks volumes, and through it all, you carry one truth engraved in your spirit. The waiting built the power, and God released it right on time. You are not who you were before this journey began. You are stronger, you are steadier, you are radiant. And as you step forward, know this: you're not entering a new chapter. You are becoming the story God has been writing all along. Take a breath. Feel that's the weight lifting off your spirit. That's heaven saying, "It is done." You have walked through the valley. You have endured the silence. You have been refined by fire and steadied by faith. And now you stand in the light of release. Not as the same person who entered the waiting, but as the one who was built by it. This word is not just a promise, it's a confirmation. Everything that was hidden is aligning. Everything that was withheld is being released. Everything that was delayed is finding its divine timing. Now speak these words aloud. Let them echo in your spirit. Affirmation 1. I am not behind. I am perfectly aligned with God's timing. Affirmation 2. What was forming in silence is now unfolding in strength. Affirmation 3. I walk in divine authority, guided by peace and protected by purpose. Affirmation 4. The waiting built my power, and now heaven releases it through me. Say them again slowly this time, not as repetition, but as revelation. Let each word settle like oil into your soul, because the moment you believe them, the atmosphere around you shifts. The Spirit of God whispers now, go forward without fear. What once resisted you will now recognize you. The power I formed in waiting will not fade, it will multiply. And everywhere you step, my presence will go before you. This is your appointed moment. Your waiting has become your witness. You are no longer the seeker, you are the vessel of fulfillment. Walk with humility, but walk with confidence. The same God who began the work is now performing it in full. And now receive this blessing. May your days overflow with divine ease. May your nights be filled with peace that cannot be shaken. May every step you take be wrapped in favor and guided by grace. May your hands build what heaven breathes. May your voice carry light into dark places. And may your life from this moment forward testify that the waiting built your power, and God released it right on time. It is done, it is sealed, and it is yours. Walk in it, the power, the peace, and the promise. Heaven has released what it built within you. Go forth now, in glory and faith and in divine fulfillment.